estará fusionado consola con PC. Decidme si se escucha muy alto o muy bajo, ¿vale? Ahora cuando... No me creo que sea una cinemática. No. No. Es una... No. ¿Qué? Sí que es una cinemática.
When you hear the whispers, what do you think he was on about?
It's Dorman, right?
Yeah.
Then Dorman, shut your damn mouth. Ugh, why do I always get stuck with these rookies?
Hey, the kid's got a mean cleave. Give him a chance.
Quiet.
Hmm?
¡Hala! La primera cinemática.
Cleave, Captain? Rookie can't even lift his own sword. Captain Oren? Captain? It's here. Rain! Send the signal!
What the fuck?
Rain!
El bicho oscuro.
On my back, Rookie! Blade up!
Come on, come on! I'm ready! I'm ready! It's a man!
No.
Por fin va a volver Sylvanas. Ah, espera, mierda, me he liado.
Run!
Captain! Captain!
¡Hala!
Stop! Humanity isn't ready.
On your feet, lad.
Sir, the captain,
You'll be fine. Here.
Una gema. Claro. ¿No? Ah, no.
What is it?
Hostia, el logo del PoE es canon.
Get the body.
Stop. Mortal. It can still be contained. You don't know what you have unleashed.
Your kind no longer control this world. We cannot destroy your body, it's true. But you will watch as we destroy everything you have built. Bind him! Feed. Grow, my child. I'll make sure you can eat your fill.
Es Cyrus. Este es el NPC que sale en el juego. Bien, bien, bien. Buah.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Rogers, Game Director on Path of Exile 2. Now, Path of Exile 2 is going into early access in around 2 weeks on December the 6th. But even though it's early access, this isn't just some small taste. The game is huge.
El
In this
juego es
live stream,
grande.
we're going to be introducing
No es
everything you can
una beta
expect.
pequeña.
So without further ado, let's roll the gameplay trailer.
Vamos a enseñar el trailer del gameplay.
Existence is a thing of beauty,
No hay de subtítulos, lo
Precious.
siento.
but impermanent. Life and death are mortal enemies, and
No tiene
yet
subtítulos.
bound to one another.
Luego lo vemos otra vez con subtítulos,
The
¿vale?
continuation of life must be protected at all costs.
No, esto es el tráiler
Some have
de la
said
season.
my methods are brutal. To this, I say, there can be no salvation
¿Este es el de Ultimatum? Ah, no.
sacrifice.
Vale, ahí se ven los frascos de vida y maná, uno y uno. El Devourer. Flame Wall. Melee. ¡Hala, qué guapo el escudo! Vale. ¡Es ese nuevo! Creo. ¡Hala, lanzallamas, qué guapo! ¡Hala, el parálisis! ¡Qué guapo!
We are faced with the
Map
end,
device.
and
el
I
endgame.
will do what I must.
¡Hala! ¡Oh, qué guapo! Sí que hay voces, sí que hay voces, sí que hay voces. ¡Qué chulo! ¿Qué? Árbol de pasivas desde el principio. Árbol del Atlas desde el principio. ¡Qué guapo! ¡Hala, hala, hala! Dios.
Those who obsess with death,
¡Hala, qué guapo este NPC!
let them soon be acquainted with
Bueno,
it.
¡Hala! ¡Las alas! ¡Hala, las alas! ¡Hostia! Yo
Now,
pensaba
as
que
you
eran de
just
esas...
saw, even in early access, Path of Exile 2 is a big game. It's
A
actually been
pesar de ser
5
solo un
years
early
since we
access,
announced
es un gran
PoE2,
juego.
and over that time we've revealed a lot, but it's been in bits and pieces. It's pretty hard to keep track of it all, so
Luego-
today
luego
we're going to
hablamos
do
de
a full
eso, si
rundown
quieras.
of
Ahora
all
vamos
the
a
content that will be
disfrutar.
available at the start of early access. Classes, character progression systems, and for the first time, a full overview of the end game. This is going to be a big one, so get comfortable. For 20 years, Rayclast has been free from any sources of corruption, but the Count of
Vale.
Ogham, tempted by promises of power, intends to
20
harness it
años
once more.
sin que haya
The
movidas en
dead are
Rayclast.
rising, monsters
hasta
are
ahora.
mutating, and madness is spreading. Under the dark influence of corruption, the Count doles out sentences of death to any who would
Es que
question
sí,
him.
Mira que emocionarlos por lo mismo, pero mejorado, como si fuese un juego 2. Flipas. ¿Te imaginas que esto es juego 2?
And this is where you find yourself at the start of PoE2.
Vale, aquí es donde empezamos, ¿no?
Explore the dark forests of Ogham.
Sí, la
Traverse the
elección
barren
de
plain
personajes. No soy yo,
desert.
Qué susto. ¿Qué pasa?
Delve
F.
into the
Vale,
jungle
es de
ruins
ellos,
of
es de
Utsal,
ellos.
an ancient Val city. There are challenging
Es de ellos, es de ellos, es de ellos. Está poniendo
monsters,
este.
hidden rooms,
Es del streaming, no mío.
lost camps and treasures, roaming merchants, and of course, unique bosses. No two areas are the same.
Ay,
It falls to you to track down the seed of corruption, the source of all this devastation. On the way, you'll face fearsome monsters, meet strange characters, forge unlikely bonds, and uncover lost
es cosa,
civilizations.
puede ser cosa de Twitch,
But
Clases.
first, you'll need to pick a class.
A ver, ¿cuántas son?
Now, early access will initially have 6 classes available.
6.
Let's have a look
El
at
Early
them.
Access tendrá 6.
The Monk is a fast and furious melee fighter. He dashes in and out of combat, and his mechanics involve building up and keeping momentum. Like all classes in PoE 2, you'll want to use a wide variety of skills to mix and match different combos.
No. Es del... Es de ellos.
Menu, which shows all the active skills available in PoE 2. You can choose an existing...
Sí, es de ellos. Vale, lo han parado. Bien, lo prefiero. Sí. Puede ser perfectamente cosa de Twitch, Puede ser cosa de Twitch perfectamente. Sí, lo he visto, Piqueras. Hay mucha gente y si Twitch no se espera tanta gente... O sea, tú tienes un ancho de banda limitado. Hay 180.000 personas. Y cuando tú tienes un ancho de banda limitado, a veces saltan esto. Puede ser perfectamente cosa de Twitch. Puede ser perfectamente algo de Twitch. Hola, Cali, guapo. He visto... Sí, pero tú de normal, ese tipo de streamings te suele Twitch habilitar más ancho. Que bueno, que o es culpa de ellos o es culpa de Twitch. Lo que sé que es que no es culpa mía porque le pasa a todo el mundo. Por eso están poniendo F en el chat. O es culpa de GGG o es culpa de Twitch. Y ya está, mía no es. Pero si vaya tenido 3 millones y vaya tenido 3 billones porque ha hablado con Twitch antes y tienen una infraestructura mirada. No lo sé. Perfectamente puede ser culpa de GGG. Pero también. Solo os digo que esto también es un problema que tiene Twitch.
Sir, just what are we facing here?
¿Ya? O
Precious.
Ah, cruza.
Power intends to harness... There are 21 active skills for quarterstaves, so this just scratches the surface of the options that you have.
Serrain, eso es un Serrain.
Dashing from pack to pack.
Vale, confirmamos que esta es
where you
Serrain.
find yourself at the start.
Ahí, vuelve hacia
of PoE 2.
atrás. Venga.
Explore the dark forests of Ogham. Traverse the barren
Vale,
plains
aquí es
of the
donde
Mystery
empezaron los
Desert,
problemas. Vale, ya está,
and delve
chicos,
into
ya
the
está.
jungle ruins of Utsal, an ancient Val city.
Vale.
There are challenging monsters, hidden runes, lost
Voy.
camps and treasures, roaming devastation.
Ahora ya se ve.
On the way, you'll face fearsome monsters, meet strange characters, forge unlikely bonds, and uncover lost civilizations. But first, you'll need to pick a class.
Han dicho 6
Now,
clases.
early access will initially have 6 classes available. Let's have a look at them. The Monk is a fast and furious melee fighter. He dashes in and out of combat and has mechanics that involve building up and keeping momentum.
¡Hala, qué guapo el...
Like all classes in PoE 2, you'll want to use a wide variety of skills to mix and match different combos. To get new skills, you will first need to find skill gems. Using a skill gem will open the gem cutting menu, which shows all the active skills available in PoE 2. You can choose an existing skill to level up, or choose to engrave a new one. Since this is a level 7 skill gem, even if you pick a new skill, it will immediately be level 7, so there's no harm in trying out something new.
Sino,
The monk primarily uses the
contenedores de
quarterstaff.
gemas.
There are 3 schools of martial arts: lightning, ice,
I'm fine.
and wind.
Ah, no, viento.
But don't think you have to stick to just one. The best combos are going to involve mixing elements of all 3.
Oh, va a haber resonancia elemental,
Let's
como en
try
el
killing
Genshin.
palm.
Estaría guapísimo.
Like many monk skills, this can be used to quickly take advantage of a specific situation. If there's an enemy on low life, you can use killing palm to dash to them and kill them instantly. This will provide a power charge.
Ah, puedes pegarles
Then we can use a
puñetazos para
different skill to
ejecutar. Qué
consume that
guapo.
power charge for a much more devastating attack. The monk also has powerful combo skills. Tempest Bell, for example, is a skill that places a giant resonating bell. Hitting the bell causes it to ring, dealing damage to all enemies around it.
Lo de
also do
la
things like
campana
freeze or
mola un
shock the belt,
montón.
which will add elemental damage to the strikes.
Cae una campana y le golpeas y hace
The
como
monk
daño en
also
área.
has a
Está
variety of
graciosa.
abilities to empower
La
his
verdad.
staff. If an enemy is close to being stunned, you can use Staggering Palm to punch them down. After that, any attack you do will shoot out wind projectiles.
Yo lo que quiero saber es qué cojones es
There are
esto.
21 active
¿Veis que
skills
esto
for quarter
cambia?
staves, so
Estos
this
son
just
las
scratches the
pociones,
surface
pero
of the
¿esto qué
options that
es?
you have. By endgame, you'll be dashing from pack to pack, spewing projectiles and obliterating screens of enemies with huge combo attacks.
Montura, no creo, porque va cambiando, ¿no?
Now, if you like a style of melee that's a little slower but hits much harder, then the warrior is for you. He pounds the
warrior es
ground
más
with big
lento,
chunky attacks and can shrug off the hits of
pero
small
pega más
enemies with
fuerte.
large amounts of armor.
El monk es como de movilidad.
Even though the mace slams are slow, you never lose
¿Ves?
control.
Este no tiene.
Longer attacks can be
Porque es como
retargeted as
del
you
acto
go,
uno.
and if you find yourself committed to a long attack, you can dodge roll out of it at any time. Among the skill option for maces,
¿Ves?
you'll
Ahora
find a
vuelve.
variety of slams, fire attacks, war cries, and shield skills. Here, I'm going to slam the ground, rending it apart with lines of fire. Any slam skill will then cause these fissures to erupt with lava.
Wow.
I can even run
Ah,
through them with
puedes
a
hacer
skill like
como
Stampede
grietas
to
en
do
el suelo y
huge
luego
amounts of damage.
explotarlas. ¡Qué guapo!
The warrior can also use war cries, which can empower your next skill. Seismic Cry, for example, will
Qué asco
double any
los war
slams
cries.
from your next attack. The Stampede counts as a slam, so I can double that for even more craziness. If you want to go a little faster
Qué
and be a
asco
little
ser
more
melee,
defensive, equip a shield. In PoE 2, you can raise your shield at any time to block all damage from the front, even spells.
O sea, puedes levantar el escudo
While
y
holding
bloquear
up your
hechizos
shield,
y
your stun
ataques.
meter will build as you take
Ya no hay
damage, so be
subclases,
careful.
sí.
If it reaches 100%, your stance will break and you will be vulnerable.
Ah, bueno.
Some enemies also have unblockable attacks, which are indicated by this red flash. If you see one of these coming, make sure to dodge out of the way. Using a shield also gives you access to shield skills, like Shield Charge, which allows you to charge towards enemies and stun them.
Qué guapo.
While charging, you're also blocking the whole
El
time, so you
escenario
have
me
full
mola.
damage immunity
Se
from the
ven
front.
mucho más pulcros, la verdad, mola un montón.
The warrior also has access to totems.
Totems.
Some totems have built-in
Primer totem.
abilities, like Shockwave Totem, which can be placed to stun nearby enemies and trigger aftershocks like those from the earthquake. But you can also get
Qué guapo.
ancestral warrior totems, which allow you
Ah,
to use
sí.
any slam skill in your repertoire. This is a meta skill, which means that it's a skill you can put other skills into. I can take a slam
Ah,
like
vale, las
Sunder
skills
and
meta,
socket it
vale.
into my ancestral warrior totem.
Es un...
Now when I summon him, he'll sit there and slam the monsters from a distance. There are 20
Que
active skills for maces, so there's a lot more to try out. But by endgame, you're going to be dropping hammers from the sky, leaping fearlessly into combat,
Está
and
guapo, la
separating
verdad.
the very earth you
El
stand
gameplay
on.
está guapo. Me
Time
parece
for
mucho
some
mejor
ranged
que el monk.
attacks.
El monk no me
The
gusta
ranger
nada.
is primarily about the bow, but we wanted to make sure that she feels agile as well. In PoE 2, you can shoot while moving. Combined with all the skills the ranger has that allow you to jump around, you will have a lot of mobility
Vale,
in
la
combat.
ranger tiene mucha movilidad. Está
Bow
diseñada
skills
para
have a
poder
variety
atacar
of
mientras se
lightning, poison,
mueve.
ice, and physical attacks. Lightning attacks bounce around between targets. You can also stick lightning arrows in the
Hostia.
ground which explode when hit by the bouncers, or electrocute enemies to take them out of
¿Os dais
combat.
cuenta cómo está girando y no está esquivando nada? Qué gracioso.
Ice attacks allow you to slow and freeze enemies to keep them away from you. Using poison, not only can you slowly damage your enemies from afar, but also grow some
¡Hala, hala! Mira
interesting
cómo los
plants.
agarra, qué guapo.
With 21 bow skills and all the mobility and combo
Hay como
tools the
unas
ranger
20,
has, you can take advantage of
unas
every
20
situation.
habilidades por
By
tipo de
in-game, you'll
arma.
be creating
parece ser.
hundreds of arrows, be they falling from the sky,
Vale.
bouncing around
¡Hala!
between enemies, or spraying out of tornadoes.
Vale.
You might have
Vale.
noticed in the bottom left of the screen that the flask slots look a little different.
Ver
In
los
PoE
frascos.
2, you have one dedicated life flask slot and one mana flask slot. Flasks gain charges as you kill enemies, and typically allow you to heal 6 or 7 times if they're full. But that's not the only thing you can use charges for. Charms are a new item type that
Charms.
will automatically
No,
defend
¿ves?
you from
¿Ves? Yo
various
sabía que-
debuffs or damage types.
Que era algo...
Having trouble with getting frozen?
que era nuevo.
Equip a thawing charm. When it's fully
Vale.
charged, it will make you immune to freeze for 3 seconds if you get frozen. To recharge them, just kill more monsters.
Vale, son como
You can
frascos
gain more slots for
automáticos.
charms by upgrading your belt.
Son como frascos automáticos. Sí.
The Mercenary
Guay.
wields a crossbow
Ok.
that can be loaded with
Una
different
especie de
ammo
frascos
types,
de
offering
utilidad que saltan
versatility, power,
solos.
and mobility.
Ok. Habrá
All
que ver en la
classes in Path of
práctica.
Exile 2 can be controlled
O sea,
with
no Maze
WASD,
Loop.
which
A lo
makes
mejor el
this
Maze
class
Loop te
play
permite
exactly
que
like a
los
shooter.
charms estén activos
For the
todo el rato.
crossbow,
Yo qué
you will
sé.
find skills that work like shotguns, sniper rifles,
Buah,
assault
el mercenario me
rifles,
gusta
and even
muchísimo,
grenade
tío.
launchers.
El mercenario me
But
mola
not only
mucho.
that, there are a wide variety of more interesting elemental ammos too. It's very fast to switch between ammo
Qué
types
ganas
as
de
long as
crearme
you
un
already have them
mercenario y
loaded,
llamarlo chaval
which makes the
americano.
mercenary able to combo abilities
Algo
together
así.
for devastating effect. Use Glacial Bolt to create walls of ice to separate enemies, then switch to Fragmentation rounds to explode the ice, dealing massive AoE damage. If I come across an armored enemy, I could use armor-piercing rounds to break their armor, and then high-velocity rounds to take them down. Or
Me
perhaps
gusta
I can fire
muchísimo
a
el
gas grenade
mercenario.
to poison
Las
enemies
granadas
before
molan que
detonating their
flipas.
cloud with an
No
explosive
sé si
shot
la habéis
for
visto,
massive
a ver
damage.
si sale alguna animación de que suelta muchas granadas. La de
If you
fuego
want
la
to call on
puedes
some
medio
suppressing fire,
spamear.
you
Mira,
can summon artillery ballistas.
artillería
These have a
balista.
minimum
Mira,
range,
mira, mira
so
las
you'll
que
want to prepare
qué
your position
chulas se
carefully
ven.
before moving
Mira.
in.
Se ven muy guays
There
las
are
balistas.
22 active skills for crossbows. By endgame, you'll be calling destruction down from the sky as you litter the battlefield with grenades and pepper your enemies with your automatic shotgun. If you're looking to take a back seat and let your minions do the work, then the witch should be
Minions!
your choice. She can
Minions!
call forth hordes of undead monsters to fight for her while casting powerful chaos spells that debilitate her enemies.
Vale, el gameplay es
Cult
debilitar
skills
a
are
los
some of the most
enemigos y que
varied
los
in the
minions
game,
maten.
with skeletons, noxious spells, specialty minions, curses, and sacrificial magic.
Guau, se ven como
Before we
bichos.
talk about minions, we'll have to talk about a new resource in Path of Exile 2 called
Vale.
Spirit.
¿Cómo van a
This is a
funcionar los
spirit gem,
minions?
which
Van
allows you
a,
to pick
van
from
a
a range of
funcionar
consistent
con
skills.
espíritu.
All classes have a variety of these skills which can add some very interesting effects.
El espíritu
like Arctic Armor, which does cold
Es
damage
una
to enemies that
estadística
hit you,
nueva que es como
or Raging
maná,
Spirits, which summon
pero
fiery
para
stealth
aura
each time
o
you cast a
minions.
fire spell.
¿Vale? En plan, en
For
vez
the
de
Witch,
tener un
though,
aura
we'll want to
que
be
te
using our
consuma
spirit to
maná,
create
van a
permanent
consumir
minions.
espíritu.
These minions will be revived automatically
Y los
when they
minions
die,
van a
so you don't have to
consumir, van a
worry about
reservar
resummoning them all the
espíritu.
time. Here, I'm using the skill screen to allocate which minions
¡Ese
I would
es
like in my
Drain!
horde.
¡Cánovas!
You can see
¡Ese
the
es Drain
spirit cost of each
Contagion!
one. Skeletal
¿Ves?
warriors
Mira,
are cheap but weak,
cada-
useful for tanking damage and distracting enemies. But
Mira,
I want more heavy hitters in my army, so I'm going
puedes
to
que.
unsummon
¡Hola! ¡Qué
some
guapa
warriors
el
and
menú
instead add
para invocar
skeletal
esqueletos!
assassins.
¿Ves?
Permanent minions come with
Gestionas el
special active
espíritu que
abilities called
tienes
command skills.
para
You can order
elegir
these
tú qué
guys to
cantidad de
detonate
cada
your
bicho
own minions
quieres.
for even more damage and area of effect. If you want a bigger army, you'll need a scepter. This new weapon type is imbued with even more spirit, allowing you to summon even more friends. And if you
Claro,
want an even bigger army
los
than that,
cetros de
you can
minions
take
te dan
advantage
más
of corpses
espíritu,
to
con lo
summon
cual puedes
true hordes
invocar
of
más
minions.
bichos.
But what can a witch do while her army is at work? Well, she has a range of chaos spells to spread disease amongst your enemies, or bone skills to impale them. Or, you know, you
Bones
could curse them
skills.
to make them weaker so your horde can
Como
take them
Diablo.
down. There are 25 active occult skills. By the endgame, you'll be the leader of a fearsome army of the
habilidades.
dead, consuming everything in its path.
Bueno, está bien.
The Sorceress bends the elements to her will, using them to
la
unleash
Sorceress.
devastation on her foes. This classic spellcaster weaves a flurry of elemental magic from afar. The elemental skills have everything you might expect and more. Fireballs,
puedas-
icy explosions, lightning storms, you get the idea.
Ah, si te gustan los
Each spell is
brillis
unique
en
and has many
pantalla,
different
esta va a
ways
ser
to
tu
build and
clase.
combo with others, even between different elements. For example, Flame Wall conjures a burning line that not only damages enemies,
Oh.
but also empowers
Sí,
all
esto funciona
projectiles that
como
pass
ahora,
through
¿no?
it.
Que los
If you
proyectos.
place a wall and fire lightning
chulo esa
sparks through it,
habilidad, ¿no?
you'll gain extra fire damage.
No
It's
sé
a
qué
good
habilidad
idea
era,
to take
pero mola.
advantage of the ability to automatically swap weapons when you use certain skills. Having a special staff with bonuses to fire skills and another with bonuses to lightning skills can really power up a
Sí,
combo like
parece
this.
Spark, sí, sí, sí.
The Sorceress can also take advantage of powerful trigger gems. For example,
Trigger gems.
you could grab the Cast and Ignite gem and use it with
Cast and
Firestorm.
Ignite.
As you ignite enemies, a counter will go up in the top left corner. When it's full, a Firestorm will automatically be cast at the enemy that was ignited. There are
Mola.
25
Me
active
gustan los
elemental
triggers de.
skills.
¡Hola!
By endgame, you'll be firing off projectiles left and right as you rain down elemental storms on your foes. Now, those are the characters that will be available at the start of Early Access, but we will be adding 6 more character classes with just as many skills and options as these.
Vale,
There's a
no va, a
lot
haber-
more to
no,
come.
no va a estar el druida de salida.
There's one more important thing to mention about skills. Even though we talk about them as belong to each class, in reality there are no restrictions. You can use all
Vale, no hay
these skills on
restricciones,
any class so long as
obviamente,
you have
¿vale?
the
Como
attributes.
siempre, ya lo sabéis,
For
se pueden
example,
jugar
a
cualquier
poison ranger
clase.
might want to try out using occult curses to increase her poison damage. Or a monk
Un
might want
arquera
to trigger
poison
elemental ice walls to
puede
use with his
utilizar-
glacial cascade combo. The possibilities for cross-class combos are practically unlimited. We're looking forward to what kind of things you guys might find. Now, Path of Exile is a game known for build customization,
se puede
and we
utilizar
haven't even
el-
scratched the surface of what
Qué
is possible
chulo.
yet. So let's talk about support
Vale,
gems.
vamos a hablar de las gemas de soporte. Venga, vamos a ver.
Path of
Aquí,
Exile 2
aquí
has
os
a
va
system
a
of support
sorprender.
gems that can be combined with your active skills to dramatically change the way they work. If you find a support gem, then right-clicking it will open up this screen. Here you will find a variety of recommended support gems for each of your skills that you can pick between.
Esto mola que flipas, que te
For example,
recomienden qué
this is
habilidades
a multiple
ponerle a cada
projectile
gema
support
es
gem and can be
increíble.
used to add multiple projectiles to any skill.
Y ahora lo miramos, ladrón.
Normally, when you fire a grenade, it'll look like this. But if we add
Qué
multiple
triste, ¿no?
projectiles, then you get 3 of them. Once you have the gem, you can also freely move it between any of the skills in your character. If you want to have a multi-shot sniper rifle instead, then simply move the gem over to your high-velocity round skill. Generally speaking, if it sounds like a support gem should work with a skill, then it will work. So it's a good idea to experiment. Note that you can only have one of each support gem on your character, so you'll want to think carefully about which supports can be used best with each skill for maximum damage.
Porque no
Now,
se
if
pueden
you want to
repetir
stick
las
to the
support.
recommendations, you should have a perfectly good time. But if you want to experiment a bit more, then uncheck that recommended button and you can see the full list of supports that will work with your skill. There are hundreds of support gems to choose from, and even we don't know the results of all the
Esto
possible
está de
ways these
puta
can
madre,
interact.
porque los jugadores
Each
nuevos
skill
no se
can
van
have
a
up to
perder
5
con
supports
tantas
socketed
cosas.
into it. And if you're clever, you can come up with some pretty interesting ideas. Now all
Esto
of
para
this is just
aumentarle los
scratching the
juegos.
surface. You can make frost vortexes, break people's armor, make minions explode, make skills repeat, make enemies set each other on fire, cull enemies, or pin them to the ground. Supports let you drastically change the behavior of your skills
Hay
and create
muchas
your own unique
habilidades
build,
que cambian
or at least follow someone's
la
OP build
habilidad.
guide.
O sea, como la
So,
GMP
speaking
y
of builds,
cosas.
let's talk about one of the most
Bueno, luego
iconic
lo hablamos
Path of
con más
Exile
detalle.
systems, the
Pasivas.
passive skill tree. Yes, it's huge. There are over 1,500 nodes on there. Now, a lot of people open the tree and can get a little intimidated at first,
Sí.
but try not to be scared. There are lots of options, but at its core, it's pretty simple. Each level you get 1 point to put into the tree. Each class starts at a different location, but they all share the same tree.
Hostia.
Around your section of the tree, you'll find relevant bonuses for your character. You should be safe in the knowledge that there aren't many wrong choices here. Almost all the starting nodes will be useful for your character in some way. But
los
if you do
nodos-
happen to make a choice you regret, you'll be able to respec any nodes you've taken by spending a little bit of gold.
Bueno, esto es como como ahora, ¿no? Vale. Esto es lo del. Sí, está bien.
Now,
Esto lo
the
metieron
tree
en
is
esta
generally
temporada. Ya
divided
será.
up into clusters which have similar themes. In each cluster, you will find small nodes that give simple bonuses like increased damage, but the real power comes from notables. Notables normally have much more interesting bonuses, and they
Espérate,
tend to care
hay
a
un
lot
botón
more
que
about
pone
how your build
compare.
works and what skills you're using. For example, in the Mercenary area of the tree, this one gives a 25% chance for crossbow skills to not consume a bolt. And here's one that gives grenades a chance to blow up a second time.
Ah, se puede. Oh, qué guay.
This one gives a chance for projectiles to rebound off terrain, as well as giving you some pierce chance to make that more likely. Note that even though this is in the Mercenary section, this would work with projectiles from all classes, so there are often reasons to go to different areas of the tree. In order to
bueno,
get between these
esto es lo de
clusters, you will
siempre.
generally have to allocate nodes in the attribute highways. Attribute nodes allow you to pick
Esto
which
mola,
attribute you would
porque
like to
esto
use,
te da la
so it's
opción
very easy to get points for any attribute that your gear might need.
De poder mover
You can change
tu
which
árbol
attribute
como te
these
dé la
nodes give
gana
you for
sin que
half
te
price at
importen
the
los
respec
atributos, porque puedes
In
ir
addition
viendo
to
los
notables,
atributos.
you will also
Me gusta.
find even larger passives called keystones.
¡Ey!
Keystones
¿Qué ha
have
sido
both
con
an
eso?
upside and a downside, and often
Mola.
require changing your entire build to design around them. A great example
Me
is
alegro.
Giant's Blood, which allows you to wield two-hand weapons in a single hand, but doubles the
Me
attribute
gusta.
requirements of them.
Me gusta.
You can use a
Doble
two-hand
arma
mace with a shield,
de
or
dos
even
manos.
dual wield them.
Dios, es uno de mis personajes favoritos de MMO.
Or how about Mind Over Matter, which makes all damage go to your mana pool first before your life pool.
Oh,
but uses
toda tu
50%
vida,
of
o
your
sea,
mana
todo el
pool.
daño va a maná.
Skills like these can be tough to build around, but if you're up for the challenge, they can be very rewarding.
Wow. Está bien, está
As
bien.
we showed you earlier on the Sorceress, you can swap between weapon sets on the fly as you use certain skills. One of the new features in Path of Exile
Sí,
2's
Santi,
passive tree
ahora
is that you
llegarán
can
a eso,
choose to have
tranquilo.
your passive tree change as you switch between weapon sets to take advantage of specific bonuses on the tree. For the Sorceress, you might want to change
Puedes
between
elegir
fire and
las
lightning
pasivas que
specialization.
quieres para cada arma. O
Or
para
you can
cada
switch
set.
between one hand and a two-hand
O
setup
sea,
in order to be able to block
ejemplo
boss
más
attacks
sencillo
or
de
following up with
entender
heavy hits from your bigger mace.
El ejemplo más sencillo de
Or
entender es
perhaps you
esto.
can
Tú
have a
puedes
full
ir con
curse
espada y
setup on your
escudo
witch to debuff enemies
y luego
before
para
switching
hacer
to a
daño
chaos DJ
cambiar,
build for maximum
se te
damage.
quitan los nodos de escudo y se te ponen los nodos de arma de 2 manos.
If you want to stick with just one weapon set, you can just use these specialization points as bonus points to invest however you like. But creative players will find plenty of opportunities with this system.
Si no
You
queréis
can get
usarlo,
weapon
podéis utilizar
specialization
esos puntos
points
para
throughout
otra
the
cosa.
campaign from optional bosses and quests. For example, if I manage to
Como
defeat
ahora.
the Crowbell, I'll get a weapon specialization book. There are lots of other permanent boosts
¡Hala, los
available from the
actos!
campaign too. On the map, you
Ah,
can
mira,
see
te dice
icons
los
that indicate
puntos.
the many optional encounters you
Oh,
can find.
también es verdad, se
Some of
consigue
them have
espíritu
permanent
en los
character
actos, es
boosts,
verdad.
and others have powerful items. If you're having trouble getting past a boss, it might be a good idea to explore and see what you can find. For example, if you defeat Blackjaw the Remnant, you'll gain a permanent increase to fire resistance. One of
Sí.
the most important finds
Esto
are
creo que
spirit
es como en el
bonuses.
Last Epoch,
You can
¿no?
find the first one here in the canopy in Act 1. Defeat the boss in this area to acquire a permanent addition of spirit. The permanent buffs you gain from spirit are very powerful, and every class will find a use for them, so make sure you hunt down these upgrades. There's
Sí, que
one
son
in each
como
act.
bosses que te dan ciertas
Now we
mejoras
haven't
que
even
tienes
talked
que
about the
pillar.
most important element of character progression, items. That's why we're all
Ritual,
here,
ya
right?
lo he dicho, Ritual is back.
Items in Path of Exile can be broken down into 4 rarity groups: normal,
4
magic,
rarezas.
rare, and unique.
Ah, bueno, como siempre. Vale.
One of the things you're going to want to do as you
El
play through the
Quill Ring.
campaign is upgrade the items you find, and you can do that with currency items.
Exalte,
An
vale.
orb of transmutation will allow you to upgrade a normal item to a magic item with 1 mod. You can then apply an orb of augmentation to add a second
Clásico.
mod, then use a regal orb to add a third mod, and upgrade it to a rare. Finally, you can use some exalted orbs to add more mods to your rare to a total of 6
Más
mods.
1 todas las proyectil skill. Qué guapo,
One of the things we think is really important is to make these options available to use as you play. All the items that add mods are much more common than they were in Path of Exile 1.
Vale,
so that you
todas
can use
estas
them
orbes
throughout
van a
your
ser
campaign
más
playthrough.
comunes que en el Path
We
of
want you
Exile
to
1
find
para
things on the
usarlo
ground that can be
desde,
crafted into
desde
upgrades
actos.
much more frequently.
Para
As
que
well as
podáis
making the
mejorar
drop
vuestros
rates on these
objetos
items
más-
much more common,
Ah,
you
¿se
can
pueden?
also get them by disenchanting unwanted gear at the magic item vendor. If you disenchant magic items, you can build up to an orb of transmutation, and by disenchanting rares, you can build up to regal orbs.
Ah, desencantar
Another
rares te da
important area
regals.
of crafting items in PoE 2 is sockets. Some items you find will have sockets that can have Ezomite runes placed in them that add more mods to the item.
¿Cómo?
If I insert this glacial rune into my
Los
helmet, it
objetos
will give
tienen
extra cold
sockets en los que
resistance.
puedes añadir
This is a great
runas.
way to solve problems that you have
Esto
with
no
your
se había
build, like
visto,
resistances
¿no?
or damage. If you find socketed items that you don't have a
Hostia.
use for, you can take them to the salvage bench in town to work towards an artificer's orb. This will allow you to add sockets to your existing items. Body
Hola.
armors and two-hand weapons can have up to 2 sockets, while the rest of your armor and one-hand weapons can only have 1 socket. You can also salvage items with quality to create items like armor scraps or whetstones. These will allow you to increase the quality of your items for an up to 20%
Esto
boost.
lo de romper para que te den quality.
If you
ok.
don't want to disenchant or salvage your items, you can always sell them for gold. Gold
Si no,
can be
puedes
used to buy
venderlos por
items from
oro y ya
vendors,
está,
and we've tried
ok.
to do a lot to make sure that the items they have for sale are
Diablo
actually
también tiene
useful.
runa, ya, pero me
Every
sorprende
time
que
you
estén
level
en
up, they
PoE.
get more stock, so make sure to check back often. Other vendors offer a gamble. Pay a flat amount of gold and
Este
you'll
ya
get
está
a
en el
random
PoE
item
1,
of
¿no?
a
Te
specific
gamblea
type.
un ítem cuando
This
se lo
could be a
compras.
great way to improve your gear, if you're lucky. Gold is also used to respec your passive skills. Take advantage of this system to experiment with your tree and rework it as required. The other thing you might want to use gold for is the currency exchange.
Alba.
This allows you to exchange currency items with other players on an
El
open
trade
market.
automático lo
in
tiene
exchange for
Alba.
a small gold fee.
Alche
Now,
mi
all
cas.
items in Path of Exile are freely tradable. We never bind anything to your character, except gold.
Ahora tiene trade normal, ok. Y
Now,
ya.
most gear in Path of
Ay,
Exile
qué
2 is
pena.
randomly generated, but there's
Me hubiese
another
gustado
type that
entrar
isn't. Uniques. They
Para
are
hablar de
especially
filtros.
rare, each with a handcrafted set of unusual mods which can dramatically change a character's build. They're not just better rare items, they can do much stranger things that can fundamentally change your character.
Vale, básicamente hacen cosas como muy
Corpse Wade will make
distintas.
any corpses you run through explode into clouds of poison.
Decomposé.
The Sands of Silk is a body armor that changes your dodge roll into a blink, morphing you into sand as you teleport past your foes. And of course, some uniques are just pure hits of dopamine, like Quill Rain, which just turns your bow attacks into full auto by doubling your attack speed. Each unique is something that you can build your character around. We try to make sure that most unique items have a potential use
Hola, qué
in-game,
guapo.
even if you find them early on. And as you can see,
Vale,
every
a
single
ver si
unique
esto es
item comes
verdad.
with
Esto es
custom
lo que
art
se
to
dice
match.
siempre, ¿no? Que dice que los únicos, la mayoría, aunque te los encuentres en
The
actos,
last character progression system that you can do during the campaign
que
is Ascension.
deberían servir para endgame. A ver si es verdad.
Starting in Act 2, you will come across
Ascendencias.
Ascension trials.
Que
Tests
vuelva al
that you must
templo,
complete to unlock your Ascension
As-
class.
Que vuelva al
We'll
templo,
explain these
no, el
trials
laberinto.
soon, but first let's take a look at
Broma,
what
broma.
Ascending can do
Que
for
no,
your
que no, que no.
character.
Que broma, el laberinto no.
Each class has access to 3 Ascendancy classes,
Vale,
but
cada
at the
clase
start of
tiene
early
3
access, only 2 per
ascendencias.
class will be available. Ascendancy classes are unique to each character class, so choose wisely.
¿Ha dicho
They can
una o dos
drastically affect
en
how
el
you
early
build your
access? No lo he
character.
escuchado bien, tío.
As a sorceress, you could become a storm weaver, a master of the elements.
2, ¿no? Qué
Tempest
guapo.
Caller causes
Bien,
elemental
bien.
storms to be
Tenía miedo de
summoned
que
each time
fuese
you do a
una.
critical hit with a spell.
Tiene escrito. ¡Hala, qué chula!
With Strike twice, you can stack 2 copies of Shock for more damage. And going deeper into the tree, you can make all your damage types apply Shock.
Oh, esto es como
Make
la,
a shock
la
build from
elementalista
any
de
spell.
ahora. Vale.
Alternatively, you could become a Chronomancer and command time
Chronomancer.
itself. She
¿Qué?
literally has the ability to stop time with time freeze.
Ah, puedes
Not
parar
only
el
that, she has
tiempo.
many other time manipulation abilities. Using Temporal Rift, she can teleport back to a previous location, resetting her life and mana back to
Pero-
what it was.
pero ¿qué
Or with Time
cojones?
Snap, she can reset all her cooldowns and cast all her spells again. On the Warrior, you can choose between the Warbringer or the Titan. The Warbringer channels the might of his ancestors to gain
guapo.
tremendous power. Using Answered Call, you can summon ancestral spirits linked to each of your totems.
¡Hala!
With Jade Heritage, you can encase your body in a protective layer that absorbs all damage until it breaks.
Puedo invocar un
Warcaller's
espíritu de un
Bellow allows you
monstruo.
to explode the corpses of your enemies. And
Ah,
with
esto
Great
buena.
Wolf's Howl, you can ignore the cooldowns of your war cries. Let all that anger out.
Ah, bueno.
The Titan class is all about hitting
Tyson.
big. With Earthbreaker, every slam is a chance to create an aftershock.
Vale.
With Crushing Impacts, every hit becomes a crushing blow, which will allow you to stun your enemies with ease. With Surprising Strength, you can take advantage of stunned enemies to deal 40% more
Bueno,
damage.
esto habrá que verlo.
As a ranger, you might choose to
Haz
be
la
a
ranger.
Deadeye, an expert
Deadeye?
markswoman who can take down foes
Vale.
with style. With Endless Munitions, every attack gains an extra projectile.
Vale, Classic.
With Gathering Winds, she gains a small increase to movement speed with every attack.
Vale, Tailwind.
But be careful, she loses them when getting hit. With Eagle Eyes, she will never miss, allowing you to stop wasting all those passive points on accuracy.
Oh, eso va a estar muy bien.
Alternatively, you could become a Pathfinder, the master of
Pathfinder.
flasks and
Ojo
poison.
esto más.
She can choose from one of several throwable concoctions, allowing her to spend her flask charges to throw explosive bottles that deal various types of
Tiene el
damage.
concoction en la
A
ascendencia.
bleeding concoction will make your enemies bleed, while a fulminating one can shock your enemies, allowing you to do extra damage.
Les gustó el concoction.
Contagious Contamination allows her to spread poisons between her foes, while Overwhelming Toxicity doubles the number of stacks
Como
that
la
can be
Pathfinder
infected
de
by.
ahora, básicamente. Bueno, ¿cómo
Running
no?
Assault allows her to move much more quickly while firing, while Relentless Pursuit makes her
¡Hala!
totally immune to being
Puede
slowed by
moverse
enemies.
más rápido mientras está disparando.
The Witch can ascend
Eso va a
into the
estar guay.
Infernalist or the Blood Mage. As an Infernalist, she can summon a loyal Hellhound companion. The
Vale,
Hellhound sets enemies on
Infernalista.
fire, as well as taking a percentage of the damage if the Infernalist gets hit.
Infernalista.
With Pyromantic Pact, you can turn your mana into Infernal Flame. As you cast more spells, the flame builds up, and if it overflows, you'll take damage. Using Bringer of Flame, you'll want to make sure you keep the flames topped up. While your Infernal Flame is above 30%, all damage from you and your minions will ignite enemies.
¡Hala!
She can also transform into a literal demon. While in
quiero
demon
esto.
form, she takes an
Yo
increasing
quiero
amount
esto.
of damage.
¡Yo quiero
Cast
esto!
speed and damage increase rapidly as well. So if you're planning on transforming into a demon, make sure you stack a lot of life recovery. She can also become a Blood Mage, a
Y
master
luego
of
puede
life and
volverse
energy.
una Blood Mage.
All Blood Mages must pay the price of making skills cost life as well as mana.
hacer que
But in
todas
exchange,
las habilidades
every
te
monster they
cuesten
kill
vida.
will drop life remnants, which allow them to quickly gain back that life. With Crimson Power, she can gain large amounts of extra
No, no,
life,
no, no, no.
and with
Quiero
Vitality
transformarme.
Siphon, she can use her spells to leech life back as well. Once you've got a significant amount of life, you can use
Incrementa
Gore Spike to make your
1%
critical
de
hits
daño
deal
crítico
incredible
por cada
amounts of
20
damage.
de vida.
A monk who is in tune with the elements might become an invoker.
Un
With
evocador.
elemental expression,
Vale.
the invoker will create waves of
Es que
elemental
el
power
monje
each
no me
time he does a
interesa mucho
critical
de
strike.
momento.
With faith as a choice, you gain the ability to meditate, allowing you to double your energy shield. Choose between I am the blizzard or I am the thunder to specialize in cold or lightning. And I Shall Rage will allow you to turn into an unbound avatar. Each time you apply a status ailment to an enemy, you gain Unbound Fury. When you have enough, transform into an avatar to deal way more damage and inflict even more elemental ailments. Some monks choose to reach into the darkness instead. The Acolyte of Chayula can exchange their
Dark
mastery of
Monk.
spirit for darkness, a resource
Hola.
that can be utilized to both absorb and deal damage. The Shroud of Darkness will protect you from all damage incoming, but if you take Grasp of the Void, you will deal extra chaos damage from all the darkness you have. Their Dark Pact offers greatly increased resistances to chaos damage and can allow their mana leech to not only happen instantly, but apply to their energy shield as well. Another node you can
Qué
take is
cosa más
Waking
rara,
Dream,
este
which
personaje.
allows you to see into the domain of the Breach Demons. There you will see the Flames of Chayula that can be taken to gain life, mana, and damage. The Mercenary has a job to do, but which job suits you? You might choose to become a Witch Hunter.
Witch Hunter.
Obsessive Rituals will give you a sorcery ward, allowing you to defend yourself against elemental hits in exchange for less defense against attacks. With Zealous Inquisition, your enemies have a 10% chance to explode on death. The chance is
Me
doubled
gusta.
against
El
demons and
Mercenario va a
undead.
ser mi main,
With
Voy a
Judge,
jugar
Jury, and
Chronomancer,
Executioner,
pero-
your initial hit against enemies can deal up to 30% of their life and damage, if you're lucky. This is great for hunting powerful bosses. And with Witchbait,
bueno, si tienes
you
suerte,
can break
ha
your
dicho.
enemy's concentration, preventing them from casting spells as often as they would usually do. You could also choose to become a Gemling Legionnaire, enhancing your abilities
Hostia,
by
este
embedding
está
gems
guapísimo.
directly in your flesh. Integrated Efficiency will give you extra skill slots. Thermatological Infusion gives you extra maximum resistances as you sock up more and more support gems. Adaptive Capability allows you to use any color of gem without worrying about attributes, while Crystalline Potential adds extra quality bonuses to every gem
Hostia.
socketed into your character.
Esto habrá que
So
verlo,
those are the
porque
Ascension
para
classes for the
nosotros
start of early
que
access.
conocemos el PoE
One thing
1
we haven't talked about
parecen
yet is
números
how you ascend in the
bajitos,
first place.
pero pensad que el PoE 2 de salida está mucho más
Ascension and Path of Exile
simplificado.
2
Vale,
requires
¿cómo se va a
completion of
ascender?
one of the great trials,
Vale, vamos a ver
which
cómo
you'll
se-
find
cómo
as
se
you
hace.
progress through the campaign.
Sí, se puedes
Each one is
moverte con
associated with one of the
AWSD,
major
si
cultures of
quieres, sí.
Rayquast.
Por favor, que no sea
Located in the
laberinto.
Vasteri Plains are the Marraketh,
Que no sea un laberinto,
a
por
culture
favor.
of rich tales and brutal traditions, who must do whatever it takes to survive in the desert. The highest position in Marraketh culture is a
Por
second,
favor, no
and it is
laberinto.
not a title given freely. All
No un
aspirants
señor
must
que le
complete the
fasea si
trial of
sigue
the
bailando una
seconds,
sardana,
a
por
grueling
favor.
gauntlet that will test their strength, will, cunning, and patience. To enter, a warrior of the Marraketh must prove their worth by trapping the soul of a djinn in a coin, and you are no different. Once you have earned your coin, it may be placed on the relic altar to begin the trial.
Es como Santum. Es como Santum. No, no, es como
In the trial
Santum.
of the Seconders, each room has its own challenges to overcome.
Se
In this room,
asciende
each
con
rare monster you
Santum.
kill will send its blood to the chalice in the center of the room. Once the
Bueno, no
chalice
es
is
Santum,
filled,
¿no?
you will be able
Pero-
to proceed. While fighting
Hostia.
monsters in the trial, you will need to be very careful. Each hit will not only hurt you, but will damage your honor. The monsters are well telegraphed, so that you can avoid their attacks, but if you run out of honor, you will fail the trial and need to find
Si
another
te
coin
quedas
in
sin
order to
honor,
try again.
pierdes el de esa.
It is a good idea to make sure that you are well
Santum.
prepared before challenging
Es
the trial
Santum.
of the Seconders.
Bueno, esto tengo que pensarlo, no tengo una opinión
After
ahora.
each room, you will be rewarded. In this case, you have been given a key that can be used to unlock chests later in the trial. Once you have claimed your reward, you will be shown a map of the rest of the floor
Santumila.
and may choose how you wish to proceed. Which challenges would you like to face, and which rewards do you want to claim? Some rooms are more dangerous, afflicting you with debuffs
Pero
that will
los meles
persist for the
que a
entire
quién le
trial.
importan.
For example, entering this room will afflict you with Spiked Shell that will cause all
Es
monsters in the
Santum.
rest of the trial
Se
to have
asciende
50%
con
increased
Santum.
life. You will want to take care if you choose such a path. There are many different challenges and rewards as you journey through the trial. Deadly traps, waves of monsters, and strange artifacts will test your honor. As you progress, you'll be able to gain boons from the Jinn, which will help you on your journey. For
Boons,
example, the
okay.
Sekima's cloak will revive you once if you die, giving you a
Vale,
second
esto
shot
está
at a run.
bien.
One of the rewards you may find is Sacred Water, an extremely valuable and treasured resource to the Jinn and the Marraketh. Trading it with the Jinn will allow you to receive many benefits. You can recover honor, gain additional boons,
De Santum,
or remove
vale.
afflictions.
Ok, ok.
At the
Okay.
end of the floor, you'll find a powerful boss which will truly test your limitations. In order to ascend, you will need to defeat him.
Para ascender, vale. Bueno. Vale, y cuando lo matas, pues
Having
puedes
defeated the
ascender.
boss, you've earned the right to ascend. But first, the loot.
No, primero
The
asciendes
keys
y
you have
luego
found may
looteas.
be used to open the various treasures in the vault at the end of the floor. We only
Está
have
guapo,
a single
está guapo.
bronze key,
A ver en la
so we'll
práctica,
just have to open one of these small
obviamente.
chests. If you want to open the better ones, you'll need silver or gold keys. Let's use the Altar of Ascendancy. Your first ascension will allow you to pick your class and grant you 2 points to use in the tree. Now there are more floors and many more rewards that can be found within the Trial of the Sycamores, but we'll save that for the section on the endgame. For now, let's talk about the second ascendancy
Ah, bueno,
trial,
ahora nos
the
hablarán de-
Trial of Chaos.
Vale, todo esto
in
es en
Path of
actos,
Exile
¿eh?
2, you can choose
Todavía no hemos
whichever
llegado al
trial you
endgame.
like to earn your ascension. Each culture on Rayclast had their own
Son
methods
tres,
to ascend.
Moab, pero solo estarán
If the
disponibles
Trial of the
dos.
Sycamores is not your kind of
de
playstyle,
la beta.
or you're finding it too difficult, you could try another. You can gain
Faltan
all your
6
ascension
clases.
points from just one, or mix and match them. It's up to you. For early access, we will have 2 trials as options, with a 3rd trial coming later for the full release. While exploring the Vaal jungle, you'll discover the Temple of Chaos. Before the Vaal embraced the science of corruption, their civilization worshipped chaos. This ancient trial was once used by the Vaal to test their high priests. A high priest of the Vaal must show willingness to risk everything to gain power. Entry to the trial requires a
El
token from a strange
ultimátum.
entity known only as the Trial Master. For those in which he sees potential, he shall inscribe an ultimatum. Many have attempted these trials in search of greatness. Most have perished. Will you be
Vale.
able to defy the odds? Before you begin each
Ritual,
chamber, the Trial
ultimátum,
Master will offer you a
santo,
reward and a choice.
Confirmados, ¿eh?
Choose one of
Israel.
3 tribulations to affect you
Ah,
through
pero
the
es
rest of the trial.
distinto.
These
Este es
modifiers might beef up
distinto.
the monsters, curse the
¡Hala!
player, or add environmental hazards like turrets or trap runes.
Es como...
In this case, we'll be picking shocking turrets.
No es como un área
As you
chiquitito.
enter the room, the Trial Master will fill it with hazards to test your commitment. In this case, you must destroy all the monsters that fill the room, while dealing with the lightning projectiles from the shocking turrets.
Porque es el Inscribed, no el de mapas. Bueno, igualmente, pero está muy guapo. Tío, me gusta mucho el mercenario. Me gusta mucho el mercenario. El puff, 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 puff. Mola. Me gusta mucho
After
cómo
each
suena.
room, you will need to make a choice. Take the rewards you have earned so far, or go double or nothing. Increase your rewards, but take on more risk. Each tribulation you add is minor on its own, but they quickly stack on top of each other and can become overwhelming.
Sí, esto como ultimátum.
There are many types of chambers in the trial. Each will test your resolve in different ways. This one simply requires you survive for a certain amount of time.
Sí, como un ultimátum,
Another
pero...
requires you to escort the stone idol through the level as elevators full of monsters descend to
Vale, es
attack
como
you.
ultimátum, me gusta.
Should you
porque
be
es
able to get through the first
ultimátum,
3
pero
chambers, you will face your
me
first
explico.
boss. The order of the bosses is random, and combined
Pero es
with the
como una, ahora no es
tribulations you
una
have selected,
mecánica
the fight will
normalita, ahora es
never
una
feel the
mecánica
same.
grande, no es una mecánica chiquitita.
After defeating the
¿Sabes?
boss, you may claim your rewards. Of course, there are the items, but you also gain the right to ascend. If you already did the Trial of the Sycamores, then you can claim 2 more points to add to
Es
your
para
ascendancy
ascender
pots.
por segunda vez.
Now, it's possible to go much deeper. There are more bosses, rewards, and risks to take, but we'll talk more about that when we get to endgame.
Hostia, no había
So how
caído.
about we talk about that now?
Vale.
So far, we've only been showing you footage from the campaign, but some
Claro,
people would
todo
argue
esto
that
era la
the endgame
campaña.
is where the game truly begins. Something that happens almost every time a new action RPG launches is people saying, there isn't enough endgame content. Well, we want to make sure that in PoE 2, people don't feel that way. And
Vale,
we
no
actually
quieren
only
que la
changed our
gente en el
development
pueblo
priority for
sientan
this
que no haya
recently.
endgame.
The first 3 acts of PoE 2 already take around 25 hours to complete if you're a new player. This is already a pretty significant campaign. On the other hand, people spend hundreds of hours in endgame each
Esto
league.
es lo que van a incluir.
We realized that finishing the rest of the campaign for early access was actually a bad idea. Instead of having acts 4 to 6 in early access, we could concentrate on endgame and make that great. For new players, a 25-hour campaign is already a huge game with lots of content. But for existing action RPG
25,
players,
que es
what
lo
you
que se
mostly care
tarda
about
ahora.
is all the in-game challenges to overcome.
Es lo que tarda la
So
gente
several
ahora,
months
lo
ago, we
normal.
switched the entire
¿Cuánto creéis
development
que
team's
tarda un
focus over to
jugador
making in-game
que juega
content.
PoE por primera vez?
At the start of early access, there will be 50 bosses
Claro.
and around 400 monster types. But the great thing is that the rest of the
Y
game is
más
like
que
80%
25
there.
horas.
We'll be adding content to roughly double the size of the game
Claro,
during early access and
25
into
horas para
release.
los jugadores nuevos.
Now, in
lo
order to
ha
make
dicho.
the end game happen at the same character level as what it would be after we added the rest of the acts, we've added a second difficulty level
Vale, lo
called
que
Crawl,
van a
where
hacer
you repeat the campaign
es
with all the
lo que
monsters
han
and
hecho
bosses leveled
antiguamente.
up.
Va a
And
haber
of course, new
6
rewards.
actos.
You can kind of think of it as like a new game
Mentira,
plus.
un jugador juega por primera
It's
vez
also a
10
lot
y
faster
deja
to
el
get through the
juego.
content the second time as your
Facts.
clear speed increases.
Tienes razón.
That will take you to around level 65, where the end game begins.
Vale.
Once we add the remaining 3 acts, we'll be
Cuando lo
removing
saquen,
Crawl
cuando lo
difficulty.
saquen
So you'll
entero,
progress
quitará la
straight from the end of
dificultad
Act
de los
6 to
3
endgame.
primeros actos, ¿vale?
But what is the
Endgame.
endgame?
La
To
chicha.
explain that, I'll hand over to
La
Mark.
verdura.
He can tell you all about it.
Vamos a ver.
Hi, I'm Mark Roberts,
Este señor sabe
game director
cosas.
on Path of Exile 2. Well, one thing that Path of Exile is known for is having a lot of distinct
Este es,
in-game content
es
to
uno de
choose
nosotros,
between.
Es un player.
Each in-game mechanic needs to have its own progression system, areas, bosses, rewards, and player power that can only be gained from that content. We are going to be
típico.
adding a lot
Vale.
more over time, but for Path of Exile 2 we decided to start with 7 distinct systems you can progress through.
Hay 7 mecánicas
This is the Atlas,
de progreso.
and it
Este es el
serves as
Atlas.
the core of the endgame for Path of Exile 2.
Es que está guapo,
It's
tío.
infinite and expands in all directions.
Es
Now, we are not
infinito
going
y
to
se
spoil the
expande en
plot
todas
too much here,
direcciones.
but corruption from the beast has blighted the land, and your objective is
Y hay
to help fight it.
corrupción.
In the
Hostia,
center
creo
of
que es
the
la
Atlas,
primera
you
vez que
find
escucho algo
the
así,
ziggurat, a
Es
temple
nuevo.
in which the Val research the fundamentals of space and time. Here,
Esto
we
es
can
nuevo,
open
lo de la
portals to nearby
corrupción
locations
y lo de
and
un
begin
endgame
cleansing
infinito.
corruption and finding resources. In order to power the portal device, we will need waystones. Each
Waystone.
waystone has a tier which will determine the level of the monsters that you will face. To go to an area, simply click one that is adjacent to an area that you have already completed. Insert the waystone and click Traverse. Portals will
como
open,
mapas.
allowing you and
O sea,
your
en
party
vez
to
de
travel
haber
to the area
mapas,
you have selected.
Te cae
All
como
the
un mapa
areas in the
genérico
endgame
y
feel
puedes
distinct
ir a
from
donde
the
te salga de
locations
los...
in the campaign, and we have dialed the randomization up to 11. The monster packs you will face in each map are
visto bien?
totally random.
He
and the
visto bien,
combination
o
of
estoy
them can
fumando
lead to some
porros.
very interesting combat situations. There are over 400 monster types in early access, and they have a lot of varied and interesting abilities. Depending on which combinations you face, you might find some serious challenges. In order to cleanse the corruption from the area, you will need to defeat all the powerful rare and unique enemies in it.
Si
Once you
matáis a
have done
todos los
that,
rares
the
y
area will be marked
únicos,
as completed and you will
reclamaréis
be
la
able to travel
corrupción del
past
área.
it to
Tío,
progress
qué
deeper
guapa
into the
el
world.
demonio, qué puto
If you
guapo el
die,
demonio.
then the map can no longer be run, and you will have to find another way around to get to the areas behind it. There are also all kinds of other random
Shrines?
encounters you might run into as you play maps.
Confirme,
One
¿sí?
such encounter are precursor artifacts. These are ancient, corrupting monuments that irradiate the monsters around them. The monsters that feed off the corruption are drawn to their power. If you defeat the monsters and cleanse the artifacts, you
Esto
will
como
get
en
a
el
powerful
Diablo.
temporary
El shrine,
buff. Some of
como
the buffs
los
make you
shrines
faster, others
corruptos
rain lightning or
del
fire
Diablo.
around you,
No sé
and
si os
some even
acordáis.
give you increased experience or help you find
Que
better
ganas el
items.
bufo cuando matan
You
los
can also
bichos.
find strong boxes.
Strong
These
boxes.
enigmatic chests guard
Vale.
piles of treasure, but are always a trap.
Confirme.
Monsters lie in wait to attack you the moment you open it, and the boxes often have mechanisms to unleash powerful spells or dangerous
Detonantes Nervi
demons.
Corpses.
There are different
Corre,
types of strong boxes
corre.
containing different
que no hay
items, and you
cuerpos
can
cerca.
even use your currency items to craft them on the fly, so you can optimize the content. But be careful of opening one you can't handle.
Que no salen de la caja, vienen. Oh, me gusta más que salgan de la nada. Me gusta más.
Sometimes you'll discover monsters frozen in essences,
No,
solidified
no,
crystalline
no,
corruption. These
no.
dangerous monsters can be broken free. If you defeat them,
Esencias.
the essence they drop can be used to upgrade normal items to magic items with a guaranteed mod from a category.
Vale,
For
también
example,
tienen drop de
we could
ítems.
use this one on some boots to ensure a movement
No
speed
dan
mod.
stats.
Rarely, essences will also drop that allow you to upgrade magics to rares, adding the guaranteed mod.
Te dan crafteo garantizado. Oye, ¿no es solo Magic? No. Te dan un mod garantizado. Por ejemplo,
This is
esto...
incredibly powerful since it
Mira,
allows you to get a
haces-
second deterministic mod in your crafting projects.
Vale.
Combining these with the currencies that are commonly found in Rayclast for modifying items, and we can get a very nice pair of boots
El
indeed.
puto stun, ya verás, qué asco me da el stun.
Waystones, like all items, can also
Vale.
be crafted using your currency items. Adding
Ah,
prefix
estos
mods
los
will
mapas.
improve the rewards,
Esto es porque
while suffix
estos
mods
son los
increase
mapas.
danger.
Las Waystones son
The
los
more
mapas.
dangerous a map is, the more Waystones will drop. Adding mods to your Waystones is key to progressing to
Por
higher
favor,
tiers
¿alguien
and
puede
sustaining
poner
them,
en el chat
but
no
it
me
will
caen
require you to take
Waystones?
on larger challenges.
Esto es el hideout, por
There
cierto.
are a variety of factors you have to consider when crafting your Waystones. Some maps will have higher density, some lower, some have more magic and rare chests, or monsters, some
Ahora
are
lo
more
llaman
linear,
Waystones.
and others more open.
Lo que hace un
Make sure
Waystone
you
es
explore and
abrirte un
think about
mapa.
what makes certain maps good if you want to maximize your returns. As you cleanse corruption from higher and higher tiers of the Atlas, you will gain
Ahí.
points that you can spend in the Atlas tree.
Vale.
This tree allows you to juice the danger and rewards of all areas in the end.
30 puntos.
You could increase the number of monsters, the number of rares, the number of precursor artifacts or strongboxes, even the quantity of item drops.
Ok.
As you explore the in-game world map, you'll notice various different biomes, from snow-capped mountains to dense jungle valleys.
Lo
Most
de los
maps are
biomas
restricted
me,
to
lo de
certain
los biomas
biomes.
me encanta.
As you continue to explore deeper into the Atlas, there are all sorts of things to discover. These cities are constructed by different peoples of Rayclast and have specific items that can be found there. These strange structures marked on the map don't appear to do anything for now. Perhaps you'll work out how to use them later. You might find unique maps like Untainted Paradise,
Untainted Paradise.
an undisturbed island full of beasts that give an extreme amount of experience. You may even find a lonely man just enjoying his retirement who will give you a unique item
Nameless.
for free. In addition, you can
Nameless
find special
here.
areas that would make a good spot to set up camp. Clear these areas of their hostile inhabitants, and you'll be able to claim them as your own hideout. You can decorate your hideout as you see fit, and invite various NPCs to join you there to
El
create
que
your
se
own
transforma en
personal
el
base
demonio
of
mola que
operations.
flipas.
A great tool for exploration are towers. These mysterious precursor constructs are dotted around the Atlas. Completing the tower will reveal a large area around it, allowing you to scout out your next challenge. There are lots of things to find, so keep looking. Some sections of your
Esto es
atlas
nuevo,
are influenced by
Las torres que te
corruption.
expanden
This
la
adds
vista, no se
extra
lo he visto.
modifiers to the maps in the region, increasing difficulty and rewards. Here, slaying monsters in close proximity to each other will cause the vestiges of corruption within them to merge together,
pues
forming
Beyond sí que
powerful
está.
and grotesque
Pues sí que está
abominations.
Beyond, sí.
You may have noticed while looking at the atlas that some of the areas have these icons above them. The icon indicates that the area contains some kind of special encounter.
Ah,
This
puedes
icon
saber la
indicates
mecánica
that the
dentro.
area has a powerful boss. Because only 1 in 4 maps contain a map boss, we are able to make them very powerful
De
and
fungus
very
tengo.
rewarding. These bosses come from the campaign, but have had their difficulty increased with changes to
Como
AI
siempre, ¿no?
and
Son
some
los
of their
bosses de la
abilities.
campaña,
It's
pero
worth
más
noting
chungos.
that because you can see where the bosses are, you can choose to take them on or avoid them. If you do choose to hunt bosses though, then you will be rewarded with special points for the boss hunting section of the
hay
Atlas.
un árbol
The points
especial
here
para
will allow you to
bosses,
specialize in boss killing, giving you much greater
donde
rewards
te
for
puedes
defeating them.
especializar en matar bosses.
For each different type of content in the endgame, we are adding specialized trees in order to make it so you don't feel the need to respec your points when you change between different types of content.
Cada
We will be
contenido
showing
tiene
you
sus
7
propios
of these
puntos de
by the end of this
especialización.
presentation, so there is
Eso es
still a lot more to
Expedition.
come.
Eso es Expedition.
Bosses are not the
Eso es
only icon
Expedition.
you will see on the Atlas. Let's take a look at one of the in-game systems, Breach. If you
Breach.
played PoE 1, you
No,
might be
es que
familiar
no va a haber
with
mecánicas
Breach.
en el
For PoE
endgame.
2, we
Es
have
que no
created
sé.
sequels to several PoE 1 leagues. While the mechanic is familiar, the monsters, bosses, rewards, and progression are all new. A breach is a tear in the fabric of reality. Opening it will allow you to see the demons and otherworldly monstrosities that lie in
Vale.
wait on this other plane of existence. By engaging with a breach, you'll create a bridge between their world and Rayclast. In order to keep the breach open, you will need to kill the demons that pour forth. The faster you can kill the monsters, the more monsters you will fight, and
O sea,
the more loot you will
si
find.
mientras
You
mates
can
es
also find
infinita.
clasped hands that will open and drop more items if you run over them. These can be a good boost to the rewards of the breach, so keep an eye out. One of the rewards that you may find while fighting monsters from Breach are tablets.
Breach Precursor
Tablets
Table.
are special items that can be used
es
with
como la-
precursor towers to add more encounters
No
to
hay
the Atlas.
splinters.
Breaches
No hay
will drop breach
splinters.
tablets. Clicking on a completed
Te caen
tower
las
will allow
brechas
you to
direct-
consume the tablet to add more breaches to areas within range of the tower. This makes all the content in the atlas self-sustaining. Want to do more breaches? Find the tablets, add them to your towers, get more breaches, getting more tablets. Soon your atlas will be covered in otherworldly domains. In addition, like all items in PoE, you can
Puedes
craft them.
chetarlo.
Use your currency to add mods to your tablets,
Mola.
allowing you to upgrade all the breaches in range. Tablets can have up
Pero,
to 2
o sea,
mods.
solo
These
para
mods
que
do
seáis
things like adding
conscientes.
extra rare monsters,
Entiendo
extra clasped hands,
que puedes
or even
añadir
mods to
varias
density of
mecánicas
breaches,
en
allowing
área.
you to keep them open longer. Often, you
¿No?
will find multiple towers near to each other with overlapping areas of effect. This
¿Ves?
can allow you to really juice the mechanic by stacking the mods from multiple tablets. In your fight to hold the breach demons at bay, you may want to use the powers of their world against them. Each in-game mechanic always has player power
No,
that can
pero
only be gained from that
son como
mechanic,
sextantes,
and breach
sí.
is no different.
Y tío, y que
In
había
Breach,
gente que
you will
decía que
find
no.
catalysts.
Catalizadores.
Items that can increase the quality of rings and amulets by improving specific mods.
Oh,
You
esto
can
aumenta
also
lo.
find breach rings, a special base type that can have its quality improved by catalysts up to 50%. In this case, you could create a ring with around
Hola,
170
los
life.
anillos de brechas
Breach rings can
molan
become some of the
mucho.
strongest rings in the game, giving you some good motivation to face the demon
Hola.
hordes. In addition, each in-game
Mola.
mechanic needs to have a pinnacle in-game encounter. While killing
este es el
breach
boss de
monsters, you may
brecha.
find breach splinters. Collect enough of these and you'll be able to create a
300.
breach stone. Using a vile technology called the Realm Gate, you can use your breach stone to
Ah.
access their domain and
Los
bring the
cosos
fight to them.
esos
In
son
this
para
twisted
pelear con
domain, you will
bosses.
find nothing but a single massive breach. Triggering
Se ve
it
muy
will
bien,
reveal hordes of
Parece
breach
como otro
inhabitants.
planeta. Mola mucho. Tío,
And should
esa
you be
habilidad
fast enough,
mola.
you will be able to fight their leader, Zesht.
Mira, mira,
We
mira.
that are one.
El are. Oh. Mira las alas feas. La pelea se ve muy épica,
This is just one of the pinnacle encounters of PoE 2. We won't be showing the
Hola,
rest of
hola.
them, so you will have to discover them for yourself. But rest assured,
Este es solo
this is
uno,
some of the
Hay
hardest
varios
content
más.
we have ever made. All these encounters have specific uniques that can only be found from them, but that's not all. We still have the progression system. Defeating Zesht will give you points to allocate into the breach section of the Atlas tree. Allocating these points will make breaches and the breach domain even harder, but will give you more rewards. The small nodes will increase the
para
difficulty of the
mejorar una
twisted domain,
mecánica
while
tenéis
the
que
large nodes have
profundizar en
more
la
specific
mecánica.
bonuses.
Y el árbol de
For
pasiva no va a ser
example,
para
this node adds more
especializarte.
clasped hands
Para
to your
especializarte en una
breaches,
mecánica
and
solo
adds a
tienes que
pack of magic
hacerla.
monsters that can guard
Puedes
them.
especializarte
Get
en
some
todo
more
y farmear
points
lo
and
que
you
te
can
dé la
allocate
gana.
Waking Nightmare, which will double the number of splinters you get from clasped hands, and inflict you with a mysterious debuff. In order to earn more points, you will need to defeat Zesht at a higher difficulty, and some rewards from Zesht can only be found by increasing the difficulty of the Twisted Domain above certain thresholds. Defeating Zesht at difficulty 4 will be a challenge indeed, but there are many more threats in Rayclast. Ritual altars are sacrificial sites built by the mysterious King in the Mists. If you encounter this symbol on the Atlas, then you know that the area contains ritual altars. Ritual altars demand tribute. Every monster you slaughter in the circle will feed the altar. After the sacrifice, touch it to begin the ritual.
Pero hay que
The
recordar
monsters
que
you just killed
hay
will
que
be
ir capeado
resurrected
de
by the King
caos,
of the Mist's dark magic, and you must fight to survive. The tribute you have offered to the altar can be spent to buy powerful items, but they can be expensive. To gain more tribute, you will want to find more altars.
Currency.
Each successive ritual you do within an area will spawn the monsters revived by the previous ones, in addition to the ones you sacrifice next to it. By the end of an area, you will be fighting a truly imposing number of foes, but will have a significant amount of tribute to spend. One of the rewards you can buy with tribute are omens. These are special items that allow for meta crafting. Crafting items that affect other crafting items. Have an item with good prefixes but bad suffixes? This omen will help you to remove the mod you don't want, while keeping the ones you do. There are a bunch more of these with different effects, but we will leave them for you to discover. Now don't forget that Ritual will also drop tablets which can be used to
Las
specialize into getting
tabletas.
more rituals.
Vale,
If
vale,
you
vale,
want to
vale,
get to the
vale.
pinnacle
Hostia,
boss of
son
Ritual,
muchas
then you will
cosas.
probably want to use them. They can
Son
also be
muchas
crafted
cosas.
to grant mods, making your rituals more rewarding. The pinnacle encounter of Ritual is the King in the Mists.
Y el
Feared
boss
by
es
the
King of the
Asmeri
Mist.
people, he is said to have brought eternal darkness to the Wildwood. We won't show the encounter, but just like Breach, there are a range of unique items you can get for defeating him, and you will gain points in
Y
the
lo
ritual
podéis
section of the
mejorar.
Atlas tree. Some maps have been touched by insanity. A mysterious entity has taken a special
Sí.
interest in you. Step through the looking glass and you will find your nightmares coming to life.
Delirium,
When you
chicos,
touch a mirror, the
delirium.
mists of delirium will spread out across the area, infecting your mind.
¿Sabéis
You
qué
must stay within
significa,
the
no?
mist to maintain the
Que
nightmare, which is as
probablemente
profitable as it is
haya
terrifying.
simulacros.
Everything you kill will increase the rewards that drop. However, the deeper into the mist you travel, the stronger the monsters are. Be careful not to overstay your welcome. Rare and unique enemies will become vessels for terrifying demons, who will manifest out of them to unleash powerful attacks
No
on
se han
you.
visto
The
clusters,
mist
¿no?
also offers a strange crafting material.
No,
Distilled
material de
emotions.
crafteo.
By combining these emotions, you are able to instill your amulet with a
Ah.
notable from the passive skill tree. This is like gaining
te
an
dropean
extra passive point
aceites.
for free, attached to your
Efficacia,
gear. They are
chicos.
also particularly great because you don't have to traverse the tree to get them, allowing you to get off-class bonuses that would normally be much harder to get.
Efficacia,
Distilled
chicos.
emotions can also be used to instill your in-game maps, applying delirious
Ah.
to them and adding additional difficulty
Ah,
and rewards,
que se lo
allowing you to
podéis
further juice your
aplicar a los
in-game
mapas.
maps. The tablets you can find from Deliria can be used to further improve it, increase pack size, make the fog dissipate
Ya me he
slower,
perdido.
or improve
Nada,
your
un par de
progress towards the
detalles.
pinnacle encounter of Delirium. Speaking of which, every now and
Del
then you will
Simulacrum
find
Splinter.
simulacrum splinters. The mysterious entity will create strange encounters based on warped versions of your own memories. Monsters and simulacrums come in waves that get progressively more difficult. You
Mola.
will receive loot at the end of
Qué
each
ganas,
wave,
de ir
and
ahí
you'll have
con
to
un
make the
aura bot y
decision to leave
quedarme
now or continue on,
plantado en el
facing up
centro,
against
con
even
Spark.
tougher foes from the mist. The bosses you will face as you get deeper into a simulacrum are truly terrifying.
Sí, definitivamente.
If you can
No han,
complete
no
a
han- no han
simulacrum,
querido
you
enseñar
will
al
gain
Cosis,
points for the delirium
No han
section
querido
of the
enseñar
Atlas
al
skill tree.
Cosis. Expedition,
Next
ya la
up,
vamos
we
bien.
have
Mira, ay, qué
Expedition.
gordito. Ay, cómo le quiero.
Occasionally, while clearing corruption, you will encounter these
Espero que siga,
Kalguran
Espero que
settlers.
siga.
The Kalgurans have discovered ancient burial sites with lost Verisian
Ala, se ve más
artifacts,
chulo,
and they
más
want you to
claro.
help dig them up with explosives. The Kalgurans have marked the locations where the relics can be found. Place explosives as best you can
Por
to
favor,
dig up
que
as
Rock
many
siga.
as possible.
Por favor, que Rock
There
siga.
is just
No le
one
pido
problem.
nunca nada a nadie.
Corruption has brought the corpses of their ancestors to life, so you might have to do a little cleanup before you can reclaim the artifacts.
Por favor, que Rock se mantenga.
You can also find remnants, the destruction of which will further anger the restless dead. Each one you blow up will make the subsequent monsters more powerful, but also more rewarding.
Por favor.
Danig, Rog, Tujin, and Gwenin will exchange
Vale.
the artifacts for useful items and runic magic. You can also find tablets to increase the number of expeditions
Solo han
and the
enseñado a
rewards.
Gwen.
This one increases the radius of explosives, while this one increases the number of remnants you will find.
Guay.
Eventually, you might discover a logbook. These are
Oh,
special
los
maps
logbooks.
full of buried treasure and relics. Essentially, one giant dig site.
Sí, sí, Rock está
Here,
ahí.
you
Tú,
can create an
Generani.
extremely long chain of explosives
Ala, ala, ¿qué
and
hace
go
yendo
through
tan
a very
rápido?
high number of remnants. But be
Hostia.
careful. Many remnants have mods that can really brick your build, so you will probably want
No
to
me
avoid
digas.
these ones. If you add too many remnants,
guapo,
you
tío,
could
el
easily
demonio.
make the encounter
Qué
harder than you can
guapísimo
handle. There are
demonio.
all sorts of interesting things buried under the ground in logbooks. You might find dripping caves and hidden pirate caches. But the most powerful encounter is Olroth, the ancient undead commander of the Knights of the Sun. Defeating him will grant you unique rewards, as well as points to spend in the
Está
expedition
guapísimo,
section
tío.
of the Atlas tree. So those are the in-game systems on the
Ah.
Atlas, but
Ah,
we're
el
not
trial de
done
Enrein,
yet. The
claro.
trials we talked about earlier have much
Esto
more
es
content when
la
you get to
Ascension
in-game 2.
de fuera
Just
de
like
los
the other
actos.
in-game systems, they also have progression mechanics,
¿No?
unique rewards, and player power that can only be gained from them. As you get higher level coins for the Trial of the Sycamores, you will unlock more floors to explore.
Au.
Each floor has its own challenging rooms and a floor
Tío,
boss
me da
that you
mu-
will need to kill.
Hostia. Esto es Santum, ¿no? Otra vez. Básicamente.
There are 4 floors in total, leading to another pinnacle boss at the end of the last floor, which can only be accessed at endgame.
¿Ha dicho
The
Pinnacle
trial of the
bosses?
Sekimas is where you'll find jewels, which you can socket into your tree. These are like passives that you can craft with your currency items. They can be really powerful as they allow
jewels.
you to stack modifiers that may not be easily accessible on the tree
no.
normally. This jewel gives lightning damage and shock chance, for example. There are quite a few jewel sockets on the tree,
sí, es
so
una
it's
jewel
possible
normal y
to gain a
corriente.
lot of power here.
Vale.
There are also other types of jewels that
Los
don't provide
explo-
any bonuses themselves, but affect other passives surrounding them. This jewel increases the effect of small nodes in radius by 25%. With careful placement in the tree, you could get a significant amount of power from it. There are also unique jewels available with very interesting effects, but you will have to find those for yourself. In order to push further into the trial and uncover the secrets of the Maraketh, you will want to take advantage of its progression system, relics. Relics are items that can be placed in the relic altar as you start the trial. They give special bonuses that affect the trial, making it easier and increasing its rewards. Of course, you can craft these with your currency items, making them even stronger. If you can complete the entire trial overcoming all 4 floors, the final boss will reward you with one of many unique relics. These relics will be consumed when used on your next run, but can reward you with unique and powerful items. For example, this is the Last Flame. If you use it, you will have only 1 honor for the entire trial, so you will need to do a completely hitless run.
El no hit.
The Trial of Chaos also extends into the endgame. As you gain inscribed ultimatums of higher and higher levels, the number of chambers that you can go through increases. In true Val style, this allows you to take even more risks for even more rewards. At endgame, you can progress through up to 10 chambers with 3 bosses on a single run. Stacking 10 tribulations on top of each other will make this a significant challenge, but it's worth it. The Trial Master will tempt you with items of the Val Empire, such as Val Orbs. Val Orbs are powerful crafting items that corrupt your gear with random mysterious outcomes. Corruption prevents an item from being modified further, so it has to be the last step of your craft. But it's also the most impactful one. For example, if you use one on your body armor, it might add a new powerful enchantment, or it might re-roll up to half of its modifiers. Val Orbs also have the ability to add a socket, allowing you to bypass the normal restriction of how many sockets an item can have. A body armor could get up to 3 sockets this way, allowing for a significant number of mods. Val Orbs can even modify uniques. Adding enchantments or sockets to uniques can make them incredibly powerful, but there is a good chance that you will break them as well. The Trial Master will also occasionally offer you soul cores. Originally formed by Chaos, the Val sought to replicate soul cores through human sacrifice rituals and blood magic to power their civilization. Soul cores are powerful socketable items, with mods that cannot be obtained from regular runes. Like all endgame content, there is of course a pinnacle boss. The final chamber will drop keys to this mysterious door. Some say this is where the Trial Master himself resides. Perhaps you are willing to take the risk to find out. Had enough yet? Because there is still just one more thing. The most difficult content in Path of Exile 2. While mapping, you might come across this fortress that has emerged from underground, surrounded by an enormous maze riddled with danger. Is the maze preventing something from getting in, or something getting out? This fortress is of ancient origin, and its construction has similarities to the towers and tablets that you have been using on your journey through the endgame. It is clear from the entrance that there are 3 keys required to enter. Local factions are vying for access to the fortress in order to seize the power they believe will be inside. Each of the faction's leaders have managed to get their hands on one of the keys, so you will need to defeat them. Each faction is led by an Uber Activist. You can see one of them inhabiting the city, but in order to fight him, you will first need to defeat their 2 lieutenants in the adjacent zones. Be careful. If you fail against either of the lieutenants, or to kill the leader, they will move on, and you will need to find them again. Kill all the Uber bosses and you will gain access to the fortress. We aren't going to spoil it, as we can't wait to see you guys attempt it for the first time. But is there a tree you get points in after killing it? Of course there is. This is Path of Exile. There is always another tree.
So these are your challenges for PoE 2. As you can see, this project is crazy huge. Way bigger than even we expected when we started out. But how do you gain access? Well, during early
Vale,
access,
vamos a
you'll
ver
need a
cómo
key to
tener
get in.
acceso, que
To
es la
thank our
pregunta que
existing
muchos
Kiwi
queréis.
supporters who have spent more than $480
Chicos,
we'll be
dejadme
giving you
discutir,
guys a
por
key
favor.
for the PC version for free.
Del tiro.
Anyone else who wants one can get one by purchasing one of the new early access supporter packs that have just been released to the store. If you just want early access to PoE 2, then you can get a key in the
paquete de
$30
$30
early
solo
access
te da
pack.
el early
The
access.
pack also comes with $30 of points to spend in the MTX store. But we also have a variety of other supporter packs filled with exclusive microtransactions, points to spend in the store, and even physical
Vale,
items.
muchos de estos paquetes
The
te dan
cosmetics can be used right
case
now
extra.
in PoE 1 and in Path of Exile
Vale.
2 when early access starts.
Okay.
Most of this footage has been recorded in Path of Exile 1, since that's where you can use them immediately.
O sea,
The
muchas de
Lord of
estas
Ogum supporter pack
microtransacciones
contains a
están
cosmetic armor
incluso en
set
Path of
befitting
Exile
of the
1,
Count
así
of
que si los
Ogum
compráis
himself.
ahora, pues también los
There
tenéis
is
en el
also a
producto.
matching back attachment,
Sí, 2,
which has an
3,
alternate
4.
variant depicting the
Sí.
influence
¿Qué
of
para
corruption.
qué? Para acceder a la beta.
Also in this pack, you can find a portal formed of the rusted armor of the fallen soldiers in the Red
Cuando
Veil
salga
of
el juego
Ogum.
completo será gratuito.
And the
Sí.
offspring of a
Cuando
vicious
termine la
crowbar
beta, el
boss
juego
found in the
será
hunting
100%
grounds.
gratis como no
This
se
one
puede
doesn't look
ahora.
so vicious though.
El pack de 30 te da 2 keys, no, te da una. Te da o acceso
On
a
top
la
of that,
beta
you'll receive the
o
Iron Count's
te da una
Zweihander
key.
to apply to your one-handed or two-handed swords. For those who are wanting to decorate your hideouts with fond memories and tales of Path of Exile's history, you will also get a series of hideout statues. This pack contains the statue of Hillock. For Path of Exile 1's closed beta, each pack contained a true New Zealand icon, the Kiwi. Following this tradition, all packs in this series will also contain a new themed Kiwi pet. The pet
Cada
will
pack tendrá
loyally
un
follow you
Kiwi.
into battle, but run away at the first sign of
¿Cuándo
trouble.
sale oficial? No hay fecha.
Become the ruler of the desert with the King of the Faradin supporter pack.
De momento en beta.
Show
Por lo
your
menos 6
mastery of
meses.
traversing
Sí.
the sands of the Vasteri Plains. The body armor will allow you to glide along the ground with ancient
Ah,
sand
es
magic.
una armadura que te hace volar.
Now each armor set comes with body armor, boots, gloves, and helmet.
Esto lo que estáis viendo ahora es
The boots
PoE
are
1,
covered
¿vale?
in sand.
Os
If
enseña
you
las
prefer to
skins
show
en PoE
them
1.
off, you can turn the gliding off if you
Porque
want.
las podéis usar desde ahora. Pero también las podéis usar en
The
PoE 2.
accompanying back attachment equips you with two powerful
Sí,
pillars
un par de
that
ligas
can
de
control and
beta.
manipulate lightning. They will periodically release their energy in a powerful blast while in town, and hover in a circle around you, arcing lightning between them, forming a barrier of energy. Replace the appearance of any bow with the
Lexeo puro y
Faradin's
duro, ¿no?
glory skin. Or
Ahora
replace the
hablamos,
appearance of a
Davo, ahora
spear with the
hablamos.
Tyranny's End spear skin. This spear skin can be applied to staves and war staves in Path of Exile 1. If you want to truly show your worth as a king of the Faradin, then you definitely need your trusty, moving, entire city fortress known as the Dreadnought to travel across the Vasteri Plains. In Path
Este
of
es el
Exile, you
hideout.
can decorate your hideout however you like.
Este es
and
el
it's no
hideout.
exception here.
Hijos de gran,
It comes
de la
with a variety of
grandísima.
thematic elements to
Hijos de
use,
la
or use decorations from
grandísima.
elsewhere in the game.
¡Hala!
Additionally, you will get the Deshret's Blessing level up effect. The King of the Faradin Kiwi pet,
No.
and last but not least,
No.
a statue depicting the Vile Oversoul from Path of Exile 1.
Qué barbaridad.
For those who don't know how supporter packs work, each pack comes with all of the cosmetics from the previous tier, so you'll get all the items from the Lord of Ogum supporter pack as well. The Thaumaturge of the Vile supporter pack features an armor set and back attachment themed around the Vile and their pursuit of science and progress.
No, creo que
You
no,
can
no
find
sé.
the
Ahora
Soul
lo
Core
miramos
weapon effect
cuánto
in this
cuesta. Ahora
pack,
miramos
which
cuánto
causes
cuesta.
thaumaturgic energy
Esta armadura
harnessed
me
from
gusta
sacrifice
más.
to spill from your
Está
weapon.
guapa.
This pack also contains Doryani's Idol. It replaces the default appearance of any foci to an ancient relic once used by Doryani, and this can be applied to shields in Path of Exile 1. That's not the
Bueno,
only
por fin
Vile
un
weapon you'll
escudo
find.
bonito.
It also contains the Wand of the Thaumaturge skin, and the Royal Sacrifice Dagger
Masacre.
skin.
Bájate 2 tonos, por favor.
You wouldn't think to put sacrificial gems on a Kiwi, but the Vile did.
¿Ah?
Thaumaturge of the
Qué
Vile
asco.
supporters will receive the Thaumaturge of the Vile Kiwi pet. And the Statue of Dominus. This is also the first pack in the series with a physical item. When purchasing this pack, you'll receive a Path of Exile 2 logo t-shirt. But if you don't
Yo tengo
want
la
one,
del uno.
you can opt out in return for additional points to spend in the store. Becoming a Warlord of the Karui supporter will grant you an armor set and back attachment adorned in jade carvings and iridescent feathers resembling power. Enough to even impress the ancestral gods, specifically Tukohama, the Karui god of war.
Sí, lo de los kiwis lo entiendo. Es algo
Overkill,
de...
you say? I think the Karui people would disagree. Why not drop a gigantic totem on rare enemies you slay to crush them to a pulp?
Estas mierdas de los
Replace your
finishers,
crafting bench in your
algún que
hideout
otro
with the
amigo
Ancestral
tiene
Canoe
un
crafting
finisher
bench,
y es
where
horrible
Ancestral
jugar
Chief
con
Marta will
ellos.
summon a giant canoe manned by Karui warriors to aid in your crafting desires.
Pero te
You'll
cantan
also
una
get a pair
jaca
of weapon skins.
mientras crafteas.
Equip Akoya's Felling Axe skin
Está
to
guapo,
your
está
one-handed or
guapo.
two-handed axes, or Tukohama's Crusher to your one-handed or two-handed maces. A true
Quien
Karui
haya visto
warlord
las
is always
noticias
accompanied by a
últimamente
trusty
entenderá
key.
que lo de las jacas se
Equipped
ha
with
puesto de
armor
moda
and
en
harnessing
los
ancestral
últimos días.
magic, they make the perfect sidekick.
Sí, los desarrolladores del PoE son de Nueva
Once one of the
Zelanda.
most feared beings in Rayclast, Malachi was slain by a powerful exile. May the statue commemorate the virtue of exile's past,
Hijos de
present,
la
and of the
grandísima.
future.
Cómo les gusta. Cómo les gusta.
Of course, it's not all about dressing up in game. You'll want to look good in
Los
real life
trabajadores
too.
están en Nueva
By becoming
Zelanda.
a warlord
La
of the
empresa
Karui supporter,
es
you'll also
China.
get a Path of Exile 2 hoodie. Our final tier of supporter pack in this series is the Liberator of Rayclast supporter pack.
Ah, que este es el
The
último.
Liberator of Rayclast armor set
Este es
and
el
back
caro.
attachment come made with the finest materials in Rayclast, and shattered glass mosaics suspended in divine power. Set up your base of operations in the Beacon of Salvation hideout. Why restrict yourself to just one island when you can liberate more? The Beacon of Salvation hideout comes equipped with your own collection of small islands and personal
O sea,
operators of
que en
boats
vez de darte
that you can
un-
use to row between them.
En vez de
Just
darte
walk to the
un
piers,
hideout,
click
te
a
dan
boat
una
to enter,
isla.
and navigate as you choose.
Te dan una
Decorate each
puta
island as you see fit to
isla.
best represent your well-earned hideout. Everyone in your hideout could use
Pero
their
¿por
own boat.
qué se
Why not have some
fuman
races?
porros?
You can also get the Window to Twilight portal effect, a
Pero,
beautiful
tío.
mosaic piece of art that shatters and reveals a gateway to your desired destination as you approach it.
El 6 de diciembre.
As you
Cristian.
walk away, the glass magically reforms back to its original form.
Pero tío, es que están
Rule and style with the
locos.
Throne of the Ruler map
Ay, la
device.
cantidad,
Sure,
la cantidad
this
de
map device
gente
can
que
create portals and get
querrá
maps,
que comprara
but it
esto.
also comes with a throne
Ala.
you can sit on to oversee your growing kingdom. Look down on the plebeians running your maps. Being the Liberator, though, is not just about sitting on your throne all day. If you do decide to join the fight yourself, you can leave a High
No.
Priest in charge as your second in
Airandir.
command.
6 meses después.
Liberator
Ahora
of
lo
Rayclast
hablamos, ahora lo
supporters
hablamos.
will also get a set of varied weapon skins. The Light of Divinity Scepter skin, the Deliverance Crossbow skin, the Justice Flail skin.
No me gusta
And
la
the
armadura
Redemption
del pack
Shield
caro,
skin.
El escudo está guapo, la armadura no me gusta.
Once again, you'll have an accompanying Kiwi, and of course a statue depicting one of the most iconic events in Rayclast's history. The battle between a powerful exile and Kitava, the Insatiable. With the help of two deities, Sin and Innocence, the exile was able to defeat him
Cómo
once
les
and for all.
gusta, cómo les gusta esta
This
mierda.
supporter pack also contains the Path of Exile 2 art book. This 215-page full-color art book includes a huge amount of amazing concept art and lore produced during the long and exciting
El
journey of
Shadow,
Path of Exile
está el
2's
Shadow,
development.
está el Shadow, confirme.
And finally, Path of Exile has a tradition of letting the community participate in designing game features.
Vale.
For Path of Exile 2, we'll be adding the Twilight Order Foil Reliquary.
Vale, lo mismo que
By
antes.
becoming a Liberator of Rayclast supporter, once Path of Exile 2 is released, you will be able to select any unique item you have found and be able to drop it from the reliquary. Once
El
players have
reliquary que hay
submitted their
del PoE
items,
1 en el
keys
PoE
to the
2,
reliquary
ok.
will start dropping, and other players will be able to find foil versions of uniques that you have submitted along with a message for the lucky player. The more players submit the same unique, the more chances there will be for the reliquary to drop them, so choose wisely. Now, almost all of these items are available to use in PoE 1 right now. There are a few exceptions where the item class clearly doesn't exist, such as crossbows or flails. And there are also a few microtransactions on weapon types that are unavailable in PoE 2
Comenta
at
que
the
si
start of early
compráis algún
access.
pack que incluye
Once
armas que no
classes that
están
use
en el
those weapon
PoE
types
1,
are added,
obviamente no las
those
tendréis en el
microtransactions will be
PoE 1.
available to use. If you can't decide which supporter pack to choose yet, you can always start with the early access supporter pack that just includes a key and some points to spend in the store. Then you can upgrade to any of the following tiers at a later date. These supporter packs will be available for purchase throughout early access. We'd really like to thank you for your ongoing support. Without you guys, Path of Exile 2 could not have happened. Now, I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions. Stick around, because coming up next, we have a live Q&A with Ziggy D.
F free to play. F free to play. A mí me